Hi, everybody. Welcome to Thursday and welcome to my office. I decided to make it a little bit less formal tonight and show you the craziness that I work in all of my own doing. I hope everyone is well and having a good week, and it's wonderful having you back here again tonight for class office hours number 5, reviewing Unit 6. And let's take a look here. So last week, we introduced the concept of triage and setting up a medical treatment area. This is a great shot of one of our skills days and an actual medical treatment area set up by the CERT students, which you will be joining very shortly as far as skills day once we get one set up, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a little while. But I wanted you to sort of see this in action, if you will. So here we have 3 CERT members make up one team, at least in our program. We have the 3 colored tarps, and we have one survivor who's been labeled on her. If you can see my cursor here, the tape on her wrist is green, which stands for minor, right? Walking wounded, if you will. So she obviously walked over to the green tarp. She's got some burns that we see here and some blood, and so we have this person here who's taking notes is obviously the scribe. We have this person here who's going to help out with some gauze, who is apparently the team leader. This person over here is the team communicator, the ham or radio operator, if you will. But you see that everyone is doing probably something in addition to their role on the team. So when you become a team, you decide among yourselves who's going to be the team leader, who's going to be the radio operator, and who's going to be the scribe. But then you all do other things, especially when it comes to safety. Everyone is responsible for each other's safety and your own. But if you look here at the radio operator, she's got some triage tape. She's got the triage tape as well. Obviously, the leader has some first aid supplies. The scribe is dealing with all note taking that is coming, all the information is coming in from the victim, and any information that she may overhear from the radio operator that pertains to their mission at the time. Everyone is wearing gloves, at least one pair, if not a couple of pairs on. They're obviously wearing their helmets, they're carrying their backpacks, and they're wearing eye protection. And in today's world, we would be wearing face coverings, right? Masks. So they are obviously preparing for more victims. The walking wounded will probably be the first to arrive. They can get there on their own. And then the delayed and the immediates would probably be brought over, being helped by others. All right. So in terms of last week, and a reminder very quickly that A, we are recording, and B, if you have any questions at any point, please put them in the Q&A box. Q&A box, not the chat box. Put them in the Q&A box, and Casey, who is facilitating again for us tonight, thank you, Casey, is keeping an eye on that and will get anything to me. So right now, my question to you is, are there any questions regarding triage or anything that we covered last week? And I can continue while you're going on. If something comes up while I'm talking about something else, don't hesitate. But if it has to do with triage or what we discussed last week, don't hesitate to ask about that. And I'm going to review a few things as well about Unit 6 that you just covered. That's going to be the review for tonight. So any questions about that can also come up during the class. And then we have a treat. I have a treat for you. One of our longtime CERTs will be joining us and showing us his backpack, the things he's collected over the course of his experience, what he's found useful, and what he likes to have in his bag. Everyone's CERT bag, just like everyone's Go bag, is going to be unique to you. So talking to other CERTs and deciding perhaps what area you want to focus on is going to impact what your CERT bag ends up looking like. So don't decide now. You don't have to make any decisions now. You don't have to go out and get anything now, but just start collecting information. That's what we're all about, right? Okay. So,
Sandra,
yeah,
hopefully you can hear me okay. We got some Q&As in there.
yeah,
So just a heads up, it does seem like your microphone is currently picking up background noise. So just keep that in mind, that when you speak, it's picking up the ambience.
all right.
And then why is the timing 5 seconds if the discharge capacity of an fire extinguisher is 20 seconds? Why wouldn't we do a full discharge instead? So this is regarding fire extinguisher use.
Okay. So there is a school of thought, which is helpful. When you first grab the fire extinguisher, that you shoot it off very quickly, just to be sure that it is functioning, and then go attack the fire. And we're going to get the fire extinguishers soon, but I think that's what that first uh, allowance, just to be sure it's working. I don't like to, I wouldn't make it 5 seconds because that would use up too much of the chemical inside of the fire extinguisher, but just enough to know that yes, it is a functioning fire extinguisher, and then go to the fire with it. You don't want to show up to the fire and then discover that your fire extinguisher is not working. I think that's where you were going with that question.
Yep, it sounds like it. I'll see if they have any follow-up questions, but thank you.
You bet. Any other questions at this point?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right. All right. So by now, all of you should have at least be able to answer these questions, right? Have you gone and taken a look around your home and identified hazards and assets? Have you identified where your gas main and your electrical panel are? We'll be talking about that, of course, tonight. Um, where in your workplace are good places, perhaps, to avoid in case of an earthquake? If there is an earthquake, where would you seek cover? How do you evacuate from your building if after a disaster? And or school, of course. How much of a charge do you have on your phone right now? If you had to leave right now, or if the power was out right now. I lost power for quite some time, actually, just the other day prior to the storm. Prior to the storm, I had no idea why that was, but that's the way it worked. These things come up unexpectedly. So I pulled out my solar charger and I charged up the one phone that was a little low on power, and went on from there. So how much gas do you have in your car right now? If you had to evacuate your neighborhood right now, could you go for 100 or so miles? Right? Could you get out of the area that is at risk with the gas you have in your car right now? And how much cash is accessible to you? And we talked a little bit about having cash in small bills. And again, it doesn't have to be on you. It doesn't have to be even in your go bag or your CERT bag or anything like that. It has to be accessible. You could get to it in a day. It's over at someone's house, or it's in a safe deposit box, or it's at your, but not at the ATM, not at the bank. The bank's going to be closed. It's going to be, so safe deposit box may not be the best. But the thing is, accessible. So I, know that if I get to my mom's house, I have a stash of a few things there uh, that includes some cash, right? So that's what you're looking at. Now, let's talk a little bit about utilities, and some of this is review from what you worked on in online CERT this week, but we're localizing it. So this is what it would look like to us. So this was I took these pictures while on a walk in the neighborhood. This is how your water main, the water to your home, might look like in most cases. So just off the sidewalk, there are these cement covers here. And if you have a tool like this one, which you will actually be receiving in your CERT backpack if you are one of our cities, if you are living in one of our cities, this is one of the basics that we give you in the basic backpack. And so this part here is to help you with some leverage to open up that water valve, if you will. This part here, this hook, hooks into the hole in the water. See where it says water and the small oval hole. This would help you have leverage to open up that. And as you can see, weeds and things grow all around our water mains. And of course, bugs make their little homes inside of the water main. So it's not a bad idea to open that up from time to time and clean it out. Just make sure everything is there and accessible to you. Obviously, you'll want to wear, work gloves and protect yourself when you're going in there. But that's generally where the water main is in most of our areas around here. So be sure you walk around and locate it. This is an electrical panel. This happens to be the one in my house. And this one uses circuit breakers. And here, you don't have to have any fancy labels or anything, but you can just write next to each circuit breaker what it is that it powers. So you know that if something pops, that's the area that you want to make sure you unplug or turn off before you reset your circuit breaker. Hang on, we'll talk a little bit about that in just a sec. This is a prop, but this is what a gas main might look like, and the valve that turns on and off your gas. You can use a wrench, or you can use one of these shut-off tools, or even this one, right? This part here is meant for the gas valve, as are these. And ironically, gas valves are not consistent in terms of size, so you'll see that they come in at least 2 sizes, so you can find the one that fits your gas valve best. If this one doesn't fit, you can use this whole section here to give you some leverage. Now, turning off the gas is something you do not practice. You do not practice. At Skills Day, we will have one of these props and you will get to practice then. All right, but I'll tell you now that turning off the gas, even though it's a very short amount of turn that you're giving it, you're only giving it a quarter turn, it's hard because it's not something that's moved very often. And unfortunately, some people, when they paint their house, paint over the valve. So it makes it even more difficult. So you want to make sure if you're painting the house that the valve does not get painted over. You can point that out to the painters if you're hiring painters. Most of them know it, but don't take it for granted. But anyway, the important thing here is locating your electrical panel, locating your gas main and where the valve is. And here, this was a good diagram that I wanted to show you. In older homes, I used to have this, we had a fuse box. So instead of circuit breakers, they would be fuses. And these fuses are like tiny light bulbs. So if you've ever heard the term pop a fuse, that's where it comes from. And so if a fuse got popped, right, you'd unscrew it and replace it with a new one. That's how those work. The current or slightly newer version is the circuit breaker. And so you can reset the circuit breaker if one pops, right? You put too much power, too much load on a particular circuit, it will blow the circuit, and then you'll have to turn it off and turn it back on again. Please, if you put too much power on something, stop, unplug a few things, and then reset your electrical panel. Don't just reset it and then you'll be popping fuses or blowing circuits all night long, because you need to unplug. Something overloaded it, and that's why. So it happens often, in the wintertime, if you add a space heater into a particular room, then it's taking more power, and that's something that might accidentally blow a fuse. So looking back here, again, we labeled what areas of the house or what's powered by a particular breaker. What happens when the breaker is blown is it'll go to its middle position. So then what I like to do is I like to turn it off all the way. Turn it off, and then I count a couple of seconds and then pop it back on. And usually that resets it, no problem. But I will have unplugged the extra appliance or the extra item that might have caused that overload on that circuit. All right. In terms of if you have to turn off the power to the house, right? Electrical fire or something that is causing a problem, you're smelling, burning, whatever, you want to turn the electricity to the house off. Fastest way is to just shut off the main. And on mine, you'll see that it's a larger circuit. The main is usually larger. This happens to be labeled, but that's where the main is. Here it is at the top of this one. It's, again, a larger circuit. The best way, if you have time and it's safe for you to do so, you shut off the individual circuits and then the main, right? That's what you would do here. And then when you turn it back on again, when it's safe to do so, you would turn on the main and then go in reverse, and then one at a time each circuit. All right. So again, just the important thing here, of course, is to locate where your electricity is located, where your water is located, and where your gas is located. So shutting off the gas, that's a little bit more complex, if you will. Shutting off the gas is when you smell gas. That's when you start to investigate. You want to investigate, make sure there is a gas leak, or at least as much as you can. If the smell of gas is strong, that's a good indicator right there. Smell of gas and you hear a hissing, or you actually can see the vapor coming out of the pipe, as I did in one case with the lightning striking by the house and popping out of the pipe and causing a small hole in the pipe, which actually you can see the vapor coming through and hear the hissing. That's when you want to shut off the gas, right? So a wrench or one of these shut-off tools, handy to have nearby your gas main. The gas main and the valve may not be necessarily next to one another. The gas main in my house, for example, the main portion is inside the garage, while the valve is outside the garage. So it's usually along the pipe that goes into the ground. And the valve will be facing the same direction that the pipe is going in. And that indicates that it is on. The gas is flowing up and down, the gas is flowing through the pipe. What you want to do when you're shutting it off is you want to cross that valve. So if this is the pipe going up and down, the valve is facing the same direction. You want to turn it a quarter turn so it's blocking the gas from going up and down, right? So a wrench or a shut-off tool will do the job. Again, don't expect it to be easy. It will be hard. But once you shut off the gas, you are not turning it back on again. The only person who can turn it back on again is someone from the utility company, in our case, PG&E, which services our area. Okay, so a quarter turn will do. Now, what if you live in an apartment complex and there's a lot of gas mains, right? How do you determine which one is the one to your unit? Well, this one is really nice because they went to the trouble of actually labeling it, which I appreciated. Notice they are not in order. So it isn't always like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It isn't going to work that way. Okay. So if you look carefully here, there is a valve on the pipe for each one of these gas mains. So once you identify which one is the one to your unit, then you know that is the one, if you had a gas leak in your unit, that you would shut off. All right. In a catastrophe, in a disaster, and let's say the building has collapsed and it is safe for you to access, rather than turning off all the valves, there is a main valve here at the end of the road, and that one would shut off all the gas to all the units. So again, in a catastrophic collapse, that would be the thing to do. Otherwise, I would only touch my own unit's gas main, or if it isn't safe, of course, again, your safety is the most important. By not being safe, meaning there's something that will block you or be a risk to you to approach that gas main, I would not do it. Okay. Now, how do you find out which gas main is yours for your unit if it isn't nicely labeled the way this one happens to be? So first thing, of course, you can nicely ask your property manager or your landlord if they can identify which one is the one to your unit, just for good information. If that doesn't work, then you can ask PG&E for something called an energy audit. Now, I don't know what they're doing now during COVID, during the pandemic, but what they would do for free is they would schedule someone to come out to do an energy audit of your home or residence, and determine, what appliances might be using too much energy, things that you can do to lower your energy use and therefore your energy bill, of course. But at that point, you can also ask them if they would kindly identify which gas main is the one to your unit. So that's called an energy audit, and you can ask that of PG&E. And again, I don't know what their policy is at this point during COVID, but it is a free service that they routinely provide. Okay, how are we doing? Any questions so far?
Well, Sandra, there was a clarification question from the fire extinguisher earlier. So what they're saying is back when we asked about the 5-second rule with the fire extinguisher, it's saying that if you have not extinguished the fire in 5 seconds, then you should stop at that time. So like if you have a fire extinguisher with 20-second capabilities, but they're saying that you should stop at 5 seconds if you can't get the fire under control.
Okay. Hold that thought. We're going to table that one for just a second. I will get to fire extinguishers very shortly, and we'll discuss all about fire extinguishers. And we'll address that one because it is a very good question. Guess what? We're talking fire extinguishers. All right. So let's talk a little bit about fire extinguishers and the use of a fire extinguisher as CERT, first of all. All right. So again, you always work as a team. And when you're deciding that you are going to approach a fire and take it on, you'll work with a partner because you want to make sure that you're watching out for each other. So notice that the partners are in physical contact with one another. Again, imagine that in a fire situation, here we are outside and there's a lot of control and a lot of safety precautions being taken. But if you're in an office or a kitchen or a home situation and there's a fire and you're coming in with a fire extinguisher, it's going to be loud, chaotic, fire alarm, maybe the fire engine is coming down the street. Everything is going to be a little chaotic. And so you're not going to be able to hear each other necessarily very well. So it is very important that you have that physical contact with your partner. Okay. The person in front, the person with the fire extinguisher, their focus is the fire, the flame. Okay. So you're going to take your fire extinguisher. I happen to have one handy, right? You're going to address the fire with the hose. If it doesn't have a hose, some of them have, imagine not having a hose right here. So you want to point that spot to the base of the fire. And you remember PASS, P-A-S-S? Everybody remembers what that stands for? So that's what the person in the front is going to be focused on, the fire and handling the fire. So what's the person in the back going to be doing? They're going to be making sure that the exit, their escape route, is always clear and that nothing else is happening or that the situation is changing, because remember, we're always reassessing the situation. So the person behind is deciding whether or not we're leaving. Okay. The person in the front handles the fire. So it's the pass, pull, pull. Okay. Aim. You're aiming for the base of the fire, not the top of the flames, the base of the fire. Squeeze the trigger and sweep. Sweep the hose. Okay. So you're not pointing for one spot and holding it there. You want to use it. Again, this goes in, 20 seconds max. 15 seconds is more realistic. Okay. It's not a lot of time. And then, of course, the third person on the team is at the door or further out and trying to keep eyes on the team. But again, that might be difficult because of smoke. So you're listening as well as you can. And they are talking even though they may not be able to hear. That's why the shoulder contact is important, right? So the person behind is always there. Notice that they're just off each other's feet, so they're not tripping over each other. Again, that's a footwork and a teamwork practice that we normally would do in a classroom situation. You'll be doing it on skills day. Okay. So the person in the front decides, okay, going in. And then the person behind repeats, going in. Right. And then, all right, fighting fire, go, right? So they're dealing with the fire. The person in the back is not necessarily watching the fire. They're watching anything that might be coming down, like I said, anything that might change, listening in case the person outside yells, get out, for whatever reason. You want to make sure wires aren't coming down, and most importantly, that your escape route stays clear. If there's anything that's risking your escape route, you're going to squeeze that shoulder and start pulling back. And that person with the fire extinguisher knows, just trust and move back. And you're walking backwards. You're facing the fire. It's like the ocean. You never turn your back on a fire, even if you think it's out. Okay? Now, by this point, though, what's already happened? By this point, when they're actually fighting the fire, what has already happened? Any ideas? You can put it in the Q&A box if you have it. Any thoughts? You have to have called 911. And again, I know this isn't a disaster situation, so you will have called this fire in, okay? And you will have told them your intention is to fight the fire before you do it, okay? You also are evacuating people, right? You want to get those people out. But the whole fire extinguisher is going to be gone in 10 to 20 seconds, depending on the size of the fire extinguisher. So we always talk about what size fire would we address as CERTs. Again, what is within our scope of training? What size fire would we actually take on? So the answer to that is a small fire. But what is small, right? So, stand by. A visual aid. If you have a standard office garbage can, that's about the size of the fire, all right? So if it's any bigger than this, you're not taking it on with a fire extinguisher. Your priority there is life, preserving life as much as possible, getting everybody out and closing doors and doing your best to contain the fire that way. But do not take on a fire with a fire extinguisher if A, it's blocking an exit, and B, it is larger than a standard office garbage can. All right. So then most of our fire extinguishers are called ABC fire extinguishers. Fires come in different categories: A, B, C, D, and K. All right. So A is your average wood, paper, common combustibles, you know, your curtains, that sort of thing in the house. That's an A-type fire, things that burn easily. Okay. B are liquids that burn, so the oils and things that you might have in your kitchen. C are electrical fires, your appliances, your microwave or space heater, for example. D are chemical fires, so that's something that you're going to see in laboratories and manufacturing. And K, the K-type fires and the K-type extinguishers are the ones you're going to see in commercial kitchens, restaurant kitchens. Those are the big grease and animal fat type fires. Okay, so the common fire extinguisher at home are called ABC fire extinguishers because they address the three most common types of fires you would have in your home. So an ABC fire extinguisher is your standard fire extinguisher at the house, okay? And it has chemicals inside of here designed specifically for ABC types of fires. I'm saying goodbye to a friend. Take care. So keep in mind that there's dry chemicals in here. So if you have this sitting maybe ratcheted up to a wall in your kitchen, for example, right? It's been sitting there for a year. So like a bottle of wine, you want to rotate it every once in a while. So once in a while, take it off that shelf, take it off, shake it up a little bit. You want to move those chemicals around. Oops, there goes the pin. and because they tend to rest at the bottom and they get solid there, they get hard there, and then they're not of any use to you. So feel free to move it around. Okay, let me get the pin off the ground, one moment. This is what the pin looks like. So I'm going to put it back. But the pin often is attached with a little plastic tie. Those ties are very, very soft. With a quick twist, you can just pull it right off. So again, don't practice that because you want to keep that tie on there to protect it from going off accidentally, but that's what that's about. And whether or not it has a hose doesn't make a difference. Fire extinguishers are very readily available now, so you don't have to necessarily get them refilled. You can purchase a new one. But the important thing is to look at the valve here. So this one indicates, obviously, it is not in the green. This one is not one that we would use anymore. I just use it for training purposes. Okay, but the ones that you have at home or at work should have that yellow arrow in the green section. That's where you want it to be. So a lot of people recommend that when you first pull the fire extinguisher off, shake it up a little bit as you're running to wherever you're going. And you may want to just squeeze the trigger just for a quick second to ensure that it is a viable fire extinguisher. You don't want to get to the fire and then, like I said, not have anything with which to fight it. All right? You're only going to have 10 to 15 seconds to fight that fire. If it goes out, great, because the chemicals in there are really amazing. And if you remember the triangle of fire, which I think you saw in online CERT, you take away any part of the triangle and you're going to stamp that fire down. But fires are very clever and they can reignite very easily. So even if you think it's out, and if your fire extinguisher is done, you're done anyway. But if you think it's out, don't tell them that it is out. How the firefighters take a look, because you definitely want them to check it out. All right. So in terms of not using the whole thing, I'm not a fan. I'm saying use the whole thing and finish, but get out. Right. If it's growing as you're using the fire extinguisher, get out. All right. Give it a try. But if it's not working, it's not working. If it's not out, by the time you finished one fire extinguisher, get out. All right, you've done what you can, because once it gets too big, you don't have the tools to deal with it. And it is amazing how quickly a room can fill with smoke and overcome you. So you think that you're fine, but you're going to put yourself in a risky situation. And as we know, our safety, your safety, is the number one thing. And yeah, especially if you're working with a team. If you are at home and you're dealing with this alone, right? You want to ensure that you've called 911. You want to ensure that you've evacuated everyone. Close doors on your way out. But if you're going to take it on with a fire extinguisher, remember now you're by yourself. So again, no risks. Take it on. If it's not reacting, or if you're out of juice with your fire extinguisher, you're done. You're out. Okay. Again, back out. Keep your exit clear. Always have an exit behind you, not on the other side of the fire. So you are between the exit and the fire at all times. Any questions?
I'm not seeing anything, but we'll give them a few more seconds.
A lot of people then ask me about how to properly dispose of a fire extinguisher. If you've had a fire extinguisher sitting there for 5 to 7 years, that's about the life expectancy. So certainly the ones that you can buy on Amazon or Costco or anything, they're terrific and they're great to have. I highly recommend it. But again, like I said, take it and shake it up a little bit once in a while. And then after 5 to 7 years, you want to rotate it out. If you've never used it, you've had it sitting there for 5 to 7 years and you've never used it, in San Mateo County, this is the rule in San Mateo County only, you can dispose, you have to depressurize it. So take a garbage can, fire it into the garbage can. And this is great practice, right? But into the garbage can or bag. You want to just put it into a bag. So fire the fire extinguisher completely, empty all the contents out into the garbage can until there's no pressure left. And now you can take the canister part and throw it in the garbage, normal garbage, and seal the plastic bag with the chemicals, and that is also normal garbage. You want to make sure it's depressurized. If you don't want to deal with that, you can take it for free to the hazardous waste, the county hazardous waste location, which I believe is in Redwood City. You have to make an appointment to take anything there. So that's the type of place where you would take batteries and paint thinner, those types of things. And they do occasionally take fire extinguishers as well. But again, it's very easy to do. Just depressurize the fire extinguisher, and you can throw away both parts separately. So that's how that works. All right. All right. Time for a poll. All right. Are you ready, Casey? So we're going to take a look at what's some of the things that you want to size up and assess in your head before you decide to take on a fire. So read carefully. Which one do you think is the most correct? In which order? This is a lot of reading, sorry. I'll give you a little bit more time. I know it's a lot of reading. And keep in mind that every situation is going to be unique. So you're going to have to make do with what you have, what tools you have, what assistance you have in any given situation. But make your plan. Which one would be the most correct? Okay, a couple more seconds. Put your answers in, please. All right. So 84% went with the second option, and 16% of you went with the first option. So let's discuss both options, okay? So the first one is evacuate people and pets. Certainly a priority, right? Grab the fire extinguisher, get a partner if someone is available, and decide if the fire is of the right size to tackle. Then use the pass system with the fire extinguisher, and then call 911. Okay, so the big tip off there is that 911 was the last thing in that list. You want it to be the first thing. You want to know. Same with if you study CPR and take a CPR class, for example, you want to get 911 rolling first, so you know that help is on the way. Okay. Again, if this is a disaster situation, right, and you're fighting a fire among many things, 911 is not going to be available. But this is in your home. If this is in your home, you certainly want to call 911. It doesn't have to be you. You can assign someone to call 911, but make sure that is being done right away. And then certainly evacuate people and pets, grab the fire extinguisher, get a partner if someone's available, and then determine whether or not it's the right size for you to tackle. You can use the fire extinguisher at that point. Okay, always, always, always have an escape route first. So great job, you guys. Well done, well done. But that's the type of thinking. That's what we have to always assess, right? The size up, always working in our heads, always. And like I said, if the fire isn't going out, the plan isn't working, change of plans. Get out, reassess. Okay, outstanding. Great job, guys.
Sandra, we do have someone who's asking, can I practice unload extinguisher in my fire pit?
Ooh, outside you mean? Or your outdoor fire pit? I'm imagining it's okay. The chemicals, it's very smoky, and you're going to make your neighbors nervous. So no, I would say no, certainly not outdoors, and you don't want to do it in your house. It's very messy. It gets everywhere. It's amazing because it really spreads. Whenever we do, if we're going to be using what's called a dry chemical, which is what the ABC fire extinguisher is, a dry chemical fire extinguishers, I always notify the fire department and the dispatch department because they may get calls for smoke. It goes up into the air, it comes off as smoke, makes people very nervous, and justifiably so. So no, I would definitely only into a plastic bag. So have somebody, hold the plastic bag and around the hose so that all of the chemical goes into the plastic bag, large garbage bag. Okay, great question though, because I would love to be able to do that. So that's what the fun part is of of Skills Day. Everybody, you're doing a lot and you're covering many things, but the thing that tends to stand out in people's minds is the use of the fire extinguisher, because it's something that we don't normally get to do. So see these fires, this is a fire pan. This is the actual fire pan you'll be using. And on the right hand side is the actual training fire extinguishers that we'll be using. We don't tend to use the dry chem anymore, because even here you don't see how much it spreads, but it does poof out and create a lot of dirt, and it's a very messy cleanup. So even these fires are larger than a fire you would normally tackle in your home, for example. But this is the fire pan, and so it's under tight control, and we have somebody who's handling that. But it's a great opportunity to practice and to see and feel what the fire extinguisher would be like. Okay.
And Sandra, I think this is a good time. But would you mind grabbing your webcam so that way it has a better mic? Because it seems like it's pretty distracting for some folks. Is it too much to ask?
I don't understand the question or the suggestion.
So when you have the ring light in the office, that webcam, could you hook it up to your computer?
It is.
Oh, that is the one?
This is the webcam for
the
usual webcam that I work. I'm so sorry. I was hoping to make it less formal and less stressful, and maybe I'm causing more stress.
Yeah, it's just every time you speak, it sounds like you're on the middle of a highway. There's some it's that kind of staticky background noise. And it's only when you speak for some reason.
So I will be silent for the rest of the time.
Guess I'm teaching is what I'm hearing.
Should I back up? Does that make any difference at all when I back? I'm assuming it is the microphone built into the computer.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Do you mind just taking a quick look at your, sorry for distracting everyone. So just,
No.
If we can't figure out in 2 minutes, don't worry about it. But if you look at your microphone that says mute, it should give you select a microphone option, and then you can select, usually it's like built in, or if it picks up another one, it's another option. Yeah. Sorry, folks, I'm just trying to help y'all out because I hear it too, so I feel for you, but I'll see what we can do to troubleshoot it.
Stop. Okay, so the options I have are mute my audio, stop video, rename, pin, spotlight video. I don't have an option for another.
Interesting.
Mic.
And it's, so like the speaking microphone mute at the bottom of the screen, for me at least. It should have like a drop down.
Hold on. There we go. All right, so let me try this one. Stand by. Does that make any difference?
Oh, yes, but it's worse. It's way worse. Oh, no. That's, yeah. Now it sounds like you're in a submarine. But yeah.
All right, I'm back to the original one. Is that okay?
That sounds better right now, but we'll see.
Okay.
Oh, wait, nope. The cars are back. Okay. All right. Well, we tried.
There's no one else in here. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's play the video. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Sure. Yes. Give me 1 second. Well, we tried. I'm sorry, y'all. We'll have it fixed for next time.
I am sorry.
Okay. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay. Share screen. New tab. Share. Okay. Share this. Okay. All right. You get to look at my lovely background, and then here's the video. Okay. Y'all good? You see it, right, Sandra? Okay.
So I want you guys to watch this video. There's no sound, just the audio. I mean, just the video.
Okay.
This is not a local
restaurant. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Hold on.
Stop sharing.
At least it's specific. Hold on, restart. To energy crisis.
This is not a local restaurant, but it's very, very interesting. So keep an eye out for what's happening here.
Okay.
Okay, they're spending a lot of time talking about this fire. And that's what happens when you put water on a grease fire. I'm going to ask, yes, let it run again, because I wanted to point something out. Thank you. So over here, if you can see my cursor, can they see my cursor? No, they probably can't.
No, it's me, but where do you want me to go?
The fire extinguisher on the right, upper right corner of the picture, that's a fire suppression system built into the kitchen. And there's a yellow valve at the bottom of there. That is the switch to turn it on. But obviously, these poor folks have not been trained by their restaurant on what to do in case of a fire. So call 911 would certainly be one of their jobs, and the other one would turn on the fire suppression system, and then they would get out of there. But that didn't happen. And somebody went and got a little water in a bucket and figured, okay, that'll do it. And then you got this flashback. Okay. Thank you. Perfect, Casey.
Let me stop share. Okay. Back in control.
Yay. All right. Any questions so far? Are we good?
I don't see any, so I think we're good, but I'll keep an eye on the Q&A.
So the Department of Transportation Diamond, or DOT Diamond, you've seen this in many locations and on buildings and in trucks and things. They come in all different types and colors and sizes and numbers, and they mean all kinds of great chemical things. But when it comes to CERT, when we see this diamond, this is what we see in our head. We do not deal with anything that has a DOT diamond on it. Okay? And certainly with anything that's a number higher than 0 in my opinion. Okay, so that's what this means. So if you get an assignment to go check out a building because we heard maybe there's a gas leak in this building, or maybe there are victims in a building and we need your team to go assess, and you come across one of these diamonds on the outside of the building, you're backing up, you're calling it in, and you're saying, this is what we can observe from this distance because we cannot go in. We do not have the tools to address what may be inside. Okay? Can you do audio triage? Absolutely. If you suspect there are people inside, you can call into the building from a distance. Your safety is first. And say, hello, I'm from CERT. If you can hear me, come to the sound of my voice, just like you normally would with triage. Get people out. Those people will be able to tell you what happened or what is happening inside. They can tell you if there's anyone else inside. And again, that is information that you would be radioing up to your command post and giving information up the chain so it can be made a priority for professional responders to address. But as CERT, we cannot address this. Okay? We cannot go in. By the way, if you see a DOT sticker, you don't go in. I want to make that very clear. All right. Okay, something that you're going to be studying in this next week and we'll be reviewing next week will be lifts and cribbing. So this all has to do with search and rescue, which is what next week's unit is going to be on. This is a previous CERT class, and as you can see, the folks closest to us in the foreground are working on lifts and how to properly lift a victim. The people in the background are working on what's called cribbing, how to crib and move heavy objects off of people. Looking at the foreground again, here they're working together. Which one of these people is the lead? Go ahead and put something in the Q&A box. Which person in the foreground is the lead person? And by lead, I'm saying who's the person who's counting and saying we're all lifting together, because remember, you're working as a team, right? So we're going to Everyone's going to grab, everyone's going to be ready. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, lift, right? This one person has to do that. So who is that one person in a group of these many people?
So we got a couple answers coming in, and they're all similar, but standing guy, the one standing, the one in front, the guy in the black t-shirt standing up,
Okay.
is what we're seeing.
All right. So this guy, who happens to be the instructor that day, is not the lead. It's the person at the head. All right. So this guy in the plaid shirt, he would be the one in charge. Not because he's got the most experience or anything, but it's generally the person at the head of the victim makes the call when it comes to moving a victim. All right. Let's say if we had a victim on the ground and we suspected a possible neck injury, right? We want to keep everything together. So the person who's holding the head and keeping the head in line with the neck and the shoulders, right? That person makes the call. 1, 2, 3, move. 1, 2, 3, return, whatever or your roll, whatever you're going to say. And you can discuss it. I'm going to count to 3 and say roll. On my count. 1, 2, 3, roll. Okay, we're going to roll them back on my count. Everybody listen, and 1, 2, 3, roll back. Right? In this case, it's 1, 2, 3, lift. Everybody lifts together. Okay, so whomever's at the head, regardless, handles the count. All right. And you're going to be working on that this week with online CERT and search and rescue. Also wanted to show you this. This is a picture also of another skills day. This is what is called cribbing. So often we would have a victim underneath this big wall, for example, and how would you move this wall effectively, regardless of what it's weighing, so you can free the victim from beneath it. And that's what cribbing is all about. Everybody's wearing work gloves. Everybody's wearing helmets. This woman is bringing cribbing material, items that you're going to use to lift with, to lift the heavy load off. So everything is close by. So again, bringing everything, bringing all the tools you're going to need before you actually start the process is part of your size up, right? So they're working on getting everything in order before they actually start the risky part of lifting something that's heavy off of someone who's trapped underneath. So something else that we need to be aware of now, especially after all the wildfires and the situations we've had, is our air quality. And we want to be able to have resources and know where to find those resources to find out what the air quality may be. This happens to be, as you remember, last September 9th was that day that was red or orange all day. It was something out of a movie. It was very strange for all of us. This was caused by all the fires that were, the wildfires that were burning at the time, getting caught into our atmosphere. So how do we know what the air quality is and whether it's safe? And believe me, it was something that we were doing on a daily basis, hourly even, to determine whether we were doing certain activities that day. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of something called the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. What do you call it, Casey? You say back M? Is it back MD? I always say Bay Area Air Quality Management District, which is a handful.
I say BACMID.
BACMID. Okay. Yeah. So thank you. So here's a great resource for you. It's something, certainly if you have any breathing conditions or something, you want to be sure to check out the many resources that they have. And here's the air quality index and the air pollution index, even the weather. So it is a great resource that is available to us here in the Bay Area. You can be specific as to what areas you're looking for, and it will give you the measurements for that day. So at times when we are dealing with air quality, especially when it comes to wildfires, it is good to know what is out there and what we're breathing and whether or not it is safe for us to go outdoors. Okay, so I wanted you to have that resource available to you. Right. This is another great resource. This is new to us. It has just started here in San Mateo County. It is spreading through the entire Bay Area. Each of the counties is picking it up. Not quite all there, but we are. And eventually we hope for this to be statewide in every county. But right now it's in San Mateo County. And what they've done fantastically is they've taken all the county and they've divided us up into zones based on population and development. So usually in the past, for example, if they've had to, let's say, evacuate a particular neighborhood or area because of a chemical leak, right, or a wildfire is coming your way, and they want to evacuate a certain area, they'd say something like, okay, we're going to evacuate everybody northeast of Hillsdale and southwest of Grant. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to, in an emergency, when I'm trying to figure out if I'm in that area, I can't tell you, does my address fall within that section that they've decided to evacuate, right? But this is great because now all first responders and all of us have the same maps and have the same language, just like when we're learning triage, right? Having that same language is so important. So they're able to say, we're evacuating, San Mateo zone E002 and E003. And now I know if I'm in that zone that I need to evacuate, right? So that's what this is about. So it is important to know your zone. This is the site to go to find your zone. And I'm actually going to stop sharing and show you the site because I think it's very cool. Sharing. Share my other screen.
And I did put it in the chat for anyone who wants to follow along.
Thank you. Am I sharing again?
You are. You're good.
This is the Zone Haven site. And again, you find your zone. And it takes a little while to load up here. But here on the upper left, you can enter your address. And it'll take you to your zone. But here we can see pretty much all of our area right now. So the important thing to remember is that the numbers repeat. So don't just learn your number, like 15 here, because San Mateo 15, there's also, perhaps a Hillsborough 15 or a San Carlos or Belmont will also have. So you need to know your zone completely. SM stands for San Mateo, BEL stands for Belmont, FC stands for Foster City, SMC stands for San Mateo County. So know the zone you're in based on your address, but also where you work or where you go to school or places that you tend to hang out. If you're going on vacation or getting away somewhere, and I'm very envious if you are, but if you are going away somewhere, why not look up the zone you're in, so that if they, some news item comes in and says zone such and such needs to evacuate or shelter in place, right? So, and you'll notice that some zones appear larger than others. It's all based on population and development. But it'll go down all the way into Atherton, Redwood City, and you can take a look at that. Play around with this. It's really a really great system. And again, all the first responders now will have this same map. So they will address the zone specifically. And if you are on SMC alerts, which you all should be by now, and you get a message, it will include some, if it's a shelter in place or if it's an evacuation type of message, it will include the zone number as well. So if you were to click on a particular zone, you get this information box, which is really great. It tells you precisely where the zone is. Here, fire and police info. These are your law enforcement and fire departments that handle your area. If there is any evacuation information, such as maybe a location where to evacuate to, they would post it here. So this would also come to you on your phone if you have SMC alert. So please be sure to have that. But I would certainly start taking a look at Zone Haven play around with it, see the different types of information that it can give you, and become familiar with it. Put your zone on your fridge. If you have any visitors staying with you, they know what the zone is that they're in. I've started putting it on all my family's refrigerators, what their zone is, so they know. All right. So I wanted to share that with you. Any questions so far?
I'm not seeing any, so I think we're good.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're back to normal here. So no www in front of that, by the way. myzone.zonehaven.com, and it is in the chat that Casey put in for you guys. So thank you for that. All right. So planning ahead. We are moving in, we're now in red. We're hopefully moving into orange. That means you guys, all of us, have been doing a terrific job when it comes to washing hands, physical distance, wearing our masks, and when it's our turn, getting vaccinated. We are lowering and beating back this virus, and that is fantastic news. So hopefully we'll be getting into the orange, maybe as soon as the end of this month. But again, that means we have to keep working on this and doubling down and not relaxing, which is hard to do. The weather is getting nicer. We're having holidays coming up again. It's really tempting. Try harder, double down again. We can do this. But if we can get down orange and then eventually to yellow, then we can schedule a skills day so you guys can finish your training, which I'm so excited about. But it's going to happen fast. Whatever happens, eventually we're going to get there and it's going to suddenly turn on a dime. So we want to be ready. So what are you going to need for your skills day? You'll need to have all these in place. So please visit the rose colored box in the essential documents box in class number 1 and make sure that you've completed all this and that you have these. Some of you have actually emailed me your certificate of completion for the IS 315.A class. And thank you for that. Don't do it yet. Hold on to it. Hold on to all of your certificates. Make sure you save everything that you've earned and worked so hard for. Save everything. Have everything ready to go, because once we schedule out skills day, you're going to get instructions on what to do, what to send me, and what to bring on skills day. Okay, so get all this in order and have it ready to go. We can pull the trigger as soon as we get there. Okay, this is what the certificate of achievement when you've completed online CERT looks like. Okay, so you're going to need that. And once you've completed online CERT, and that means taking the final exam and everything, you'll have all your merits for every unit, and you'll have this certificate of achievement. So hold on to everything. Hold on to everything. Reminder, this is, this looks somewhat familiar to your home base page. If you haven't had a chance to look at Find Your Neighborhood, please do that. Remember, your neighborhood or emergency response district in CERT is different from your zone. Okay, the Zone Haven is one program, and you should know what your zone is. You should also know what your CERT neighborhood or ERD is. And this is how you find out. So go there, you'll find the maps per city, find the area in which you live, and that'll tell you what neighborhood or emergency response district you live in. Okay. T-shirts, if you're interested in a t-shirt, no pressure and no requirement, but if you are interested in a t-shirt, they're only sold at certain windows of time, and this happens to be one of them. So orders have to be in by this coming Monday, the 15th. I sent you the link and the password on how to get into the CERT store. There's 2 stores, one for t-shirts, which is limited, and one for the fleece and the caps and all the other cool stuff. And that's all the time. So the t-shirts are only on sale, available for a certain time, and that window closes this Monday. So make sure if you're interested, that you go ahead and do that. All right. And now I believe, Heyman, you're with us, and I want to make sure he has a chance to join us. I'm wondering, Casey, if we have to make him a co-host for him to show up. Yeah, but I want to introduce you to Heyman Tim. Heyman is one of our ERD leaders.
Before you move on.
Okay. And he he is going to join us tonight because he's terrific. He's been with CERT for quite some time and has collected a lot of things, tried a lot of things, and I wanted him to show you his CERT bag. Like I said, every CERT backpack is going to be similar in certain things, right? We're all going to have work gloves. We're all going to be having masks. We're all going to be having exam gloves, eye protection. But what works for one person may not work for someone else. Or once you've chosen maybe something that you want to specialize in, you're going to start gravitating towards those tools and those items. So,
Sandra, before we move on,
yes.
Sandra, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So before you move on and change things, we do have some couple questions that came in.
Okay.
Is Zone Haven going to expand to other counties? So I think you already addressed that. That's the hope.
Yes.
But I want to make sure we answered it live.
Eventually statewide, but certainly you're seeing a lot of the counties in the Bay Area are already adopting Zone Haven. Yes.
And then another person commented, it doesn't look like Santa Clara County is included. So yes, that's correct. It's just San Mateo at this time.
Yes.
And then someone was asking, how long does it take to take the test part of IS 315A?
Those of you who have completed it, do you want to chime in? Give us a number in terms of the completing the course or completing the test. That's
completing the test of 315A. So from my experience with FEMA ICS online test taking, you have, I think it's 10 or 15 minutes to take the test. But that it's been a while since I've taken one online, so I could be wrong, but that's usually what they give you a timer and you have to take it within a certain time period.
Yeah, the tests aren't terribly long. Taking the course usually takes several hours. I think this one is designed to be a 2-hour course, and then the test. The test can be quite quick, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on. So I don't know if
anybody. And So when you're ready to take the test, there will be a timer. It will give you a time slot of how long you have to take it. I encourage you to have your notes out and handy so that way you can get through it in a breeze. But you can take the test if you do don't pass it on the first try. So you do have multiple attempts. So don't worry or stress about it, especially with the ICS FEMA courses. It's fairly forgiving in terms of test taking.
Exactly. Don't worry. Have I said that yet today? I haven't said it yet today. See, I have my.
I'll say it for you. I'll say it before you.
Don't worry. All right. Have we heard?
And then we have one more. We have someone saying, "What do you mean about finding an area that you want to specialize in?" You mentioned it related to Heyman's pack content. So while I look for Heyman to see if I can opt him, I'll have you answer that.
All right. So you're being exposed to all aspects of CERT, right? Fire suppression, medical treatment area, search and rescue, communications. So at some point, once you've seen everything and experienced a lot of everything, you're going to get to perhaps feel more comfortable in one area. Like, I really, really love the medical treatment area, right? Maybe you have a medical background or you're pursuing a medical background. And that's where you would feel comfortable. So you would tend to gravitate towards doing things that are medically inclined. And therefore, your backpack is going to reflect that, or you'll have a much more robust first aid kit, for example. If you're someone who really likes the search and rescue aspect of it, then you'd have more things that are search and rescue related. That's what I mean by specializing. You're not doing that yet, but as you grow in CERT and spend more time, you may want to. Heyman, are we there?
I'm here.
Yay! I need to see you though.
The start video is disabled.
Okay. Can I stop sharing? And can I make Heyman a co-host?
And Sandra, we have another one that says, do you have to exercise at one seating? So I think this means at one, I'm not really too sure if they're talking about skills day or if they're talking about taking the test. So hopefully this person can clarify, but does that make sense to you, or do you have an answer for that?
Repeat the question one more time.
Do you have to exercise at one seating?
You have to exercise at once soothing. Okay, so the taking the course, just like the online course, any online course, you can stop and start again. Once you start the test, you have to complete the test. If we're talking skills day, don't worry. If we're talking skills day, your team will be assigned a particular response, a particular mission, if you will, or you'll be at a particular station. And if you make a mistake or there's an oversight, you can stop and start again. Okay? We're all about having you succeed. All right, I want to introduce you to Heyman. Heyman's been, like I said, very active. He's one of our ERD leaders, Emergency Response District, out in, remind me, is it 14 out in Belmont?
Yes.
I got it right. 14 out in Belmont. So I'm going to give you Heyman, who's got a fantastic backpack that he's developed over time. So this is not like you need to go out and get everything for tomorrow. Over time, based on his experience. Enjoy this, and Heyman, take it away. Thank you so much.
Right. You can see me? Okay, good. All right, everybody. Safety first. Okay. Anyway, yeah, this is a backpack that has taken me years to evolve beyond the basic beginner stuff. And yeah, don't get too intimidated. So first of all, on the outside of the backpack here, I've got triage tape. That's something I think you'll learn about later in first aid. That's something that will be handy for mass casualty type incidents. On the outside of my backpack, I have things that I want easy to access, such as my flashlight. I have an extra flashlight. I have an FRS radio, along with some extra batteries. I have a multi-tool. So these are the type of things that for me, yeah, I try to keep on the outside where I can get at them in a hurry. On the inside, and once again, depending on the type of backpacks, I like backpacks with compartments so you can organize stuff. I have various light wands for like traffic control or other such purposes. I have a lumber crayon, a heavy duty lumber crayon. These come in real handy for search and rescue and marking of doors and structures. Sharpies, a variety of Sharpies. I have whistles for traffic control. That came in handy last year when we were doing graduation car parades. Cell phone charger cable. Depending on where you'll be, if you don't have any other means of charging up your phone, you'll be glad that you have a cable. Along those lines, I also have a cigarette lighter charger adapter with a USB specifically for phone charging purposes. I have copies of local maps, in this case, Belmont and San Carlos. You need to add a San Mateo map to it. Just in case all else fails and your Wi-Fi and GPS goes down, you have paper maps. And I'm sure Sandra has mentioned during training, paperwork, documentation is everything. So this happens to be a book of CERT forms to fill out when there's an incident. So that's good to have. That way, yeah, I have my own set. So that's on the outside. So this is my first aid area. So I've got various baggies. This was actually a practice baggie from other previous CERT classes, but it's a grab bag. So I've got gauze pads, I've got triangular bandage, I've got some normal bandages, we've got some latex gloves. So this is kind of something that was more for training. I have Ziploc bags with nitrile gloves. And what I had done here is, yeah, the boxes come in boxes of 50 or 100. What I've done is I pre-rolled pairs of gloves and stuck 10 pairs in each Ziploc. And since my wife is also in CERT, I have a baggie with my size gloves and a baggie with her size gloves in case she, in case there's no access to her backpack. These are packs that we keep in our cars. I have, this is a recent addition, I have a combat pressure bandage. I've got an emergency blanket. I've got a combat tourniquet. So this is something that is a recent addition.
We went over
So-
tourniquets last week. They're familiar with them.
What was that?
We went over tourniquets last week. So
Okay.
familiar. Yep.
Great. So yeah, the combat tourniquets are very easy to use. I practiced with this one on my thigh, and yeah, it holds good. Another triangular bandage. Safety glasses. Safety PPE is key, and what I was able to find, and for those of you who are getting on your years, you'll appreciate it. These are safety glasses that are also with reading lenses, so that way I have protection and can still read the fine print on forms. So that's in the bag. Emergency sleeping bag, a little lightweight one. You never know how long you might be out. Then I've got a variety. These are more like chemical gloves, different from the nitrile gloves, which are more of a medical. This is more of a, yeah, you're trying to keep the nasties from getting at your flesh. Also, yeah, several bottles of sanitizer, some quick grab, ouch kits, just Band-Aids and some wipes for minor scrapes. So that is the first aid section, or the bulk. You have another compartment in here, and this is pre-stocked with N95 masks, procured pre-pandemic. So now the big section, knee pads. People don't really think about knee pads, and believe me, when you have them, you'll be so happy you did, whether it's for search and rescue, or in my experience, doing triage on patients on not nice carpeted floors like in training rooms, but out in the real world where it's been on gravel, patches of gravel or whatever, and you really obviously can't kneel in that for very long. So knee pads, highly recommended. SAM splints, these are great. Of course, yeah, you're gonna splint with whatever you can find, but a SAM splint, these are wonderful, they're conformable, and always good to have one. Safety goggles, helmet with a light, or a hard hat rather. Of course, your vest, a bigger ouch kit with more bandages and wipes. This container has batteries and another phone cable, so more backup type stuff. Couple pairs of leather working gloves. The ones, yeah, make sure you have gloves that fit you and that you will be able to wear for a while and work with for a while. I see people with oversized gloves thinking, oh, well, it's just for emergencies, but yeah, if you need to use gloves, you'll want gloves that would fit. The infamous gas wrench tool. So this has the slot for turning off utilities. This key foot on the bottom will fit in to the water valve in the sidewalk, and you turn the water off to the house. I've got a poncho, 50 feet of paracord. I have hazard tape, roll of hazard tape, a roll of white duct tape. I think this one's time for replacement. Duct tape is obviously universally handy, but white duct tape, I have found in talking with other preparedness folks, is preferred because you can rip off a section, tape it onto a victim's leg, and write their info on it. If the person's unconscious, you can write, their vitals on there, or if they are conscious, you write their name or ID. So obviously the white is good for that. Some more whistles, some bandanas. Bandanas are good double for a lot of things, and I think we saw with the pandemic, even so face covering, head covering, or just general wipe up use. And then of course, clipboard with documentation. You need a clipboard. Obviously, this is a little more than just a normal clipboard. So in my case, inside the clipboard things, I never travel without the CERT fog guide, which is the field operating guide, and the California ICS quick reference. So these are things that always keep with me. And of course, another set of the CERT form document book. So this is basically the stuff that I always carry. On the fog, this is also, there's a PDF copy that's available on the CERT blog, which I don't know if Sanders mentioned. So all my mobile devices have a copy of the CERT fog on the phone also, so that keeps it very handy. So I think that is it for the tour. Hopefully, Sandra, I'm good for time.
You are. Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
And I think you still have the inventory list from last time.
I'm hopeful that I actually saved that. I will let you know by tomorrow.
Okay.
So I have a list of everything that is in Heyman's fabulous backpack. So don't panic if you didn't write it all down. And yes, Heyman has a blog, which is terrific. It's all about CERT, and it has a lot of great resources on it as well, which I will share with you in my email to you in the next couple of days. Heyman, thank you. That was fantastic. A couple of quick questions. One of you asked, what was the black tape for in the triage tape? So we did go over triage last week. And as you remember, you are labeling everyone. And if you come across someone who, unfortunately, after you've perhaps they're unconscious and you've opened their airway twice and they have not responded, then they are deceased. And that is what the black tape is for. So that is, you would put black tape on them. You label everyone, right? Whether they're mobile or not. And so that demonstrates. And so he happens to have a set of triage tape that he carries on his backpack.
Right, because I mean, in the ideal world, there would be a triage tag that you would use to attach to each victim that are color coded. But once again, that's in the ideal world. It's much easier and quicker to grab a section of tape and tie it around their ankle or wrist and color code them that way. And then if you don't have this, then a Sharpie on the forehead is the next.
Exactly. Exactly. So one of the comments, Haven, is that MacGyver would be envious of your backpack. Now, keep in mind, all right, Heyman's carrying this backpack around. So it's up to him how heavy that backpack may be. These are some, Heyman's also one of our fantastic photographers. And as you can see, he's been very active in a lot of things. Some of those photos are from graduations that he participated in this summer when the graduations were going in car parades and we needed assistance, and CERT provided traffic protection and traffic safety during those parades. So Heyman was out there. Heyman was also one of our fantastic CERTs that was delivering lunches to seniors, our senior neighbors who were sheltering in place. And that pre-COVID photo of all of us at the bottom was at one of our Get Ready classes that we did prior to COVID. So I will send out, like I said, a list of the goodies in Heyman's bag, as well as a link to Heyman's blog. And Heyman, thank you so much. That was fantastic.
My pleasure.
Are there any questions for Heyman specifically?
We do have one, but Sanders, up to you how to answer it, because based on our department policies. I'll read it to you and you can decide, but
Okay.
what brand of backpack does Heyman have? So you know that I'll let you take it.
So if you see behind me here, this is the basic backpack that we give to our CERT graduates. Again, for those of you who are in our cities, will receive a basic backpack with basic supplies. Over time, you will find what works for you, what you like. And so Heyman obviously has a backpack that is much more involved than this one. And I will have that on the list of items that Heyman has in his backpack. So we're not recommending any one brand. It's whatever works for you. How heavy it is, it's completely up to you. And so that's important to consider, though. Are you going to carry all that around? I know several CERTs, including Heyman, that have a very robust first aid kit. So if they're going out on, they're working the medical treatment area, they're going to pull that out and have that with them. If they're going to do search and rescue, then they're going to take tools and things with them that are appropriate for search and rescue. So, you know, it all depends on how you set up eventually. Okay, but for right now, you get to see it all, and that's the fun part. Okay. All right, for next week, next Thursday, we're going to be looking at Unit 7 on online search. That's light search and rescue. You'll get to meet our training coordinator next week, and we'll go over some cribbing and things like that. But the resources for this week's class are under Class 6 of your home base webpage. Keep an eye out on essential documents, that rose-colored box in Class 1. Get that rolling because you don't want to fall behind, because like I said, whenever it is that we get into yellow, everything's going to start happening very quickly, and you want to make sure you have all your paperwork, all your certifications, all your merits, all your forms filled out, ready to go, so that we can just get it done. Okay? So light search and rescue for Unit 7 for next week. Keep an eye out for some emails from me. As you know, I'm always sending out my love notes, and you guys have been doing terrifically. So hang in there, keep up the good work, and we will see you next Thursday. Have a good night, everybody.